Okay guys, you searched it, you want to learn how to play Jhin. This video is going to show you how to make clips just like that. Stay tuned. Okay guys, first things first here, we're going to get into the Jhin rune tree. I think, starting from the basics before we get into actually utilizing his abilities makes the most sense. Okay, so for your Jhin rune tree, this is how you want to have it set up. Domination. In your domination tree, you want Dark Harvest, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter, and then in your precision side, you need Presence of Mind, Legend Bloodline, and then of course Adaptive Force, and Armor. Now we'll move into the basics of Jhin's abilities. Alright guys, we are looking at Jhin's abilities. I think first we're going to start off with his passive. It's super important. Jhin's attack has 4 shots. So when you're playing the game, when you're farming, or when you are team fighting, or even 1v1, you need to understand that you have 4 shots and you need to utilize the time between your reloads. So your 4th shot is obviously always going to be a crit, and it gives you a boost of movement speed. So typically, when I utilize my 4th shot, I click behind, because you need time to reload, unless I'm playing really aggro and I want to push in which case I would either W or Q, which we'll get into after this. Anyways, that is how I typically like to utilize the movement speed. It's either to be aggro, or you can get back right away. Into Jhin's Q. So as you can see here, his Q throws a grenade that bounces up to 4 times. If you kill any of the creatures, other enemy heroes, or creeps in that line, the next one that is hit, or next whatever that is hit, will take an increase of 35% damage. So when you're laning, it makes a lot of sense to, let's say, damage this creep, and then this creep, and then toss the grenade at the first creep, which will kill all 3, which means ideally, the last hit will hit an enemy character, and you'll do 35%, and then you're getting an additional 105% damage on that character. So that is how it is utilized. That's how your Q is utilized. It's also what you need to do, what you need to be doing for farming, which we'll get into in more gameplay. Your W here is very important. So when you or a teammate strikes an enemy character, your W has a chance to root. So ideally you need to practice aiming. It's not that difficult, but once you get very good at aiming your W, you can anticipate when your teammates are going to hit a character, and you can almost, because there's a bit of a delay. Let's watch this again, actually. There's a bit of a delay on the W. So as he spins and lines up, that delay, if that tune is attacked within that delay, you'll still get your root, which means that character has no way of getting out of the root. So if you can hit it right as soon as your teammate hits it, that's kind of ideal. You'll see a little purple, and we'll get into this more in the gameplay, a little purple mark, which means it can be rooted with your W. Anyways, that's how you utilize your W. Your E, I like to use this E. Either I'll toss them right in the middle of team fights, or in the laning phase. Let's say I need to go back to base. I will toss a ton of them in front of the tower, or I will toss them where you're gonna be ganked from. It gives you a little bit of time to get away. You can use them as defensive. So let's say the other team's coming at you. You're not going to get a kill. You're not going to be able to escape. You can toss your W, toss your Q, toss an E, and then you can escape. You can get away because your E, no matter if it actually hits them or not, if they walk over it, they are immediately slowed. We'll get into more utilizations of the traps in future, like using them effectively at Dragon and all that stuff. Your R. So R, it's pretty self-explanatory. You open up a massive triangle, and in that triangle you get 4 shots. Your last shot does the most damage. It can be difficult to last hit with this, it does take a little bit of practice anticipating where your opponents are going to be, but this is very similar to other ultimates that you're going to be utilizing in League of Legends as well. It just takes a little bit of practice. Okay, let's get into some gameplay. Okay guys, before we get right into it, I'm going to go over the item sets that you, in an ideal game, that you should be able to get and the reason behind them. But first I'm going to give you the order in which to get them in. So your first item, as always, I think in most setups, the first item you get is boots. And in this case, you get boots of swiftness. Your second item will always be Gale Force. Your third item should be the Collector. Your fourth and fifth items should be, they can change, but Infinity Edge, strong fourth item. I like Rapid Fire Cannon. You could be able to poke. So your fifth item, Rapid Fire. And the last item I got in this case was Storm Razor, but that can be swapped out for any different situation, depending on what's going on in the game. All right, guys, as you can see here, beginning of every game, I do the exact same thing. I use my Q on the first 3 melee creeps, but this is the perfect utilization of that Q. You're going to get all 3 kills every time. Just got to time it properly when you start entering. You need to understand when you help that leash and when to leave to be able to utilize that Q on the first 3 creeps that you see. Okay guys, as you can see here, this is the perfect example of utilizing your Q and your W. In this case, I used my Q to be able to get the first root off on Jinx. And then I actually finished her with my Q again as I was reloading my guns. So you need to understand there is going to be a time difference after you utilize your fourth and purple shot, your crit shot, from that point until when you reload. And you can utilize any of your 3 abilities during that time while you're reloading. So this is a perfect utilization of the downtime between your auto. Okay, so as you can see here, we're talking about our E ability, our traps. So I'm utilizing these traps to make sure if I miss something or my ward goes down in the river, I have a chance to escape. I've got 3 traps at that river. Now I have 2, but the damage we just did on Rekan was pretty solid damage. But this is how I like to utilize traps while I'm in lane, and I just replace that trap there. And I will do similar groupings at tower when my lane isn't pushed, but I still need to base. So they can be used defensively and offensively. Okay, so as I said, guys, your E can be used defensively and defensively. In this case, I'm trying to protect Leona, and I dropped my E where I knew they'd be traveling to move in on her. It didn't work out; she still died, but the thought process is there. And then obviously you can use your R as defensive as well. I'm trying to get them to back off the tower. There's 4 bottom, and I need that tower to farm. Okay, guys. So in this case, we're trying to drag. The other team is already there. I utilize my R to initiate to get them off of the dragon. It wasn't a great R. I think I missed 2 of them, but that's not a problem. The whole point of me utilizing the R was to get them off dragon, and my team actually won the fight. I got that double kill utilizing my Q, and I tossed an E in the middle of the fight there, if you notice as well. So you can utilize that E, in the middle of a team fight. They're probably not going to see it. So especially in the later game when your E is doing like 800 or 900 damage, you toss those things in the middle of a team fight. They can change the fight. It's a lot of damage. It slows the other team. Try to utilize your E as much as possible. I try to utilize it when I'm reloading, and then especially when I'm laning, I utilize them every single time they're up and can be utilized. Okay, guys, I would say this play is a next to perfect play with the Gale Force. I was on my last attack. I Gale Forced in on Rakan, and I got my W off immediately. So you're going to get the 3 shots from your Gale Force, plus your last crit shot and your W off immediately on a character. And it's a crazy amount of damage, especially when you have a teammate with you. this is how you utilize the Gale Force aggressively. Okay, so another utilization of your E would be at a team fight where you know the opposite team needs to push into. So you can see right here, I've utilized my E in locations where I think that team is going to be pushing in. They look like they've surrounded us. They think they have the advantage. These two traps hit 1, 2, 3, and that second trap just hit another 2 people. So it hit 4 people. So I think damaged 3 of them, hit 4 of them. And then I'm utilizing my R because I had to pull back. I was a little weak. And then you know, Jhin really, really good at cleaning up, as you can see here. This clip is a perfect example of utilizing your Gale Force when you're in trouble. So I Gale Forced back, and then I can come back into the fight as my team shows up. I was in a bad place. I Gale Force out, which does damage, and then you get another hit off, but then you're safe. Now, depending on how the game is going, Jhin's ultimate can be used to clean up, you know, escaping enemy characters. In this particular game, I used it more as an opener. As my team kind of got into position, I could already start dishing out damage. As you can see, I get the shutdown here, and then I'm still able to Gale Force around, kite around, and you know, three of the opposite team were able to be rooted. So I could have rooted any of the 3. Rakan ran away, not a problem. But the utility for Jhin's R is extremely important. You know, no one, as long as you can hit your shots, no one's escaping. You can peel people off drag, you can peel people off Baron, you can steal Baron or drag if it's timed properly. It's very, very difficult, but you can do it. It's not just utilized to pick people off as they run away. So the utility, like I said, for Jhin's R, I'm a little bit out of position. I'm not going to get to my team in time to support. So I try to do some damage with my R by engaging this way. Still allows me to poke in and out while I'm fighting, because I need your Jhin. We're kind of squishy. That's what we need to do. Now we're chasing, and we have our rapid fire cannons. We got additional range. We Gale Force in. We don't get the peel. We don't get the peel. It's no big deal. But this is another way to utilize Jhin's R. It's very important to know the mini map and where everybody is. Mid game to late game, as an ADC, you need to be with your team. You can't really be farming in lane. They need you to be doing the damage. So this, if you're out of position, you make a mistake, you're able. It's a little bit forgiving because you can still support your team from a little further away, and then while you move back in and start kiting into the fight, you've already done a bit of damage. Another quick utilization of our W and our R. We get the W off on Jinx. We're getting a little greedy. We want to get that kill. We are right away. We didn't notice that Twisted Fate was cheeky and he's right behind us. So we do die, but that's okay because they have no inhibitors and no Nexus, and we win. Okay guys, that concludes another video for Jhin ADC bot lane. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did this video help you at all? Don't forget to like it. It really helps me out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Catch you in the next one, team.